Well, this seems to have delighted, shocked, disappointed, and enraged people in equal measure. As is typical for this iteration of the show, it's a wildly atypical episode, again, sidelining the Doctor, and this time Ruby too, giving us a thoroughly unlikable character, and then rather than giving her a redemption arc, revealing further despicable layers as the story unfolds. The opening is pretty standard sub-Black Mirror, isn't social media awful stuff. Russell T Davies's writing across all genres is typified by big operatic emotions and hard-to-miss social commentary. There isn't a lot of subtlety in most of what he does, and yet there is a detail about the world of Find Time which it is at least possible to miss, and that's the monochromatic nature of the cast. In the classic era of the show, this was just the way of things. You tended not to see non-white actors in British television unless there was some very specific reason, and sometimes that didn't seem like it was helping overmuch. Season 25 features one black man per story, a descendant of slavery, a blues musician, a jazz musician, and a rapper. Yikes. Casting even one non-white actor, because that's just what modern Britain looks like, doesn't appear to have occurred to anyone until we get to Battlefield or Survival, and that's arguably too late. When tall, posh white men are the default, it doesn't look like identity politics to only centre them. But casting only white actors is also a choice. It also makes a statement. Casting Jodie Whittaker meant that the possibility existed that some characters might think differently of the Doctor, even compared to beta males like Troughton or McCoy. But this wasn't something that Chris Chibnall felt like exploring. I would say this was because he was worried about weakening the character, but his version of the Doctor was almost uniquely panicky, inept, cowardly, and immoral, so I don't know what he was worried about. So far, Ncuti Gatwa's ethnicity has yet to be a plot point until the hammer blow ending of this episode. I kind of wish that Lindy Pepperbean and her ghastly crew had spelled out their objection. The dialogue in the climactic scene is almost coy. There's a really thought-provoking question being asked here. Do you try and save the irredeemable? But it's undercut slightly because the script can't bring itself to actually say what the characters are clearly thinking. Not that I think the story needed a rewrite by Quentin Tarantino, you understand. It just didn't sound entirely natural. And Ncuti Gatwa, on his first day on set for this season, is spectacular. As first he can't comprehend what he's being told, and then suddenly, horribly, he can. The bigger problem with this episode is, by telling the story so rigidly from Lindy's point of view, we're forced to spend most of the running time with a vacuous, selfish, self-centered character. I get why the structure is necessary to make the ending work, but it felt like the tail wagging the dog a bit to me. So this was another bold stroke from a series which is determined to experiment in every way it can, but a slightly awkward viewing experience for me. Not because I was being forced to confront my own prejudice, just because Callie Cook was doing such a good job of creating such an unlikable lead, and I'd rather have spent more time with the Doctor.